Next question. If all the fathers are clear that there was really a flood that Noah survived with a few others, how is it that many modern Catholic conservative apologists are so willing to say it's just a nice story to teach a lesson?
Well, they don't want to appear unscientific. They don't want to appear superstitious. Human respect, I would say. And really, this particular issue of the universal flood is something that, again, hasn't so much first hit me in high school. Back, I don't want to say where or when, but it was Daniel Murphy High, 1974. I said I didn't want to mention the when or when.
Okay.
I'm not going to mention names. It was Father Terence Riley, OP, who taught a course called The Bible is Literature, which we called Why Genesis Ain't So. And he was going on about how the story of the flood in Genesis it's nothing, it's just a myth like all the other flood myths in every single other culture. They went on at great length about how every culture has a myth of the universal flood. And so the biblical story is nothing. I'm listening to him, and I waved my hand. He said, yeah. I said, Father, if what you're saying is true, and every culture has a story of a universal flood, since presumably if such a thing had happened, we'd all be descendants of it, that's what you would expect to find. If the only account we had was the story in the Bible, then you might wonder. He wasn't very happy. I had to go to the principal's office. But, again, I wasn't that nice when I was young. Thank God everything's better.
Yeah.
But there's a fear of being called fundamentalist. And of being identified with the Protestant fundamentalists.
Yeah.
And the creationists and this and that. And to be honest with you, again, a lot of this stuff, I'm very agnostic. In the sense that it's the same with our heliocentric and geocentric friends.
Oh, yeah.
Whether the sun goes around the earth or the earth around the sun, we all know that everything goes around Hollywood. We know this. That's an article of experience, not even faith. But whether the one or the other, whether the world was created in 7 days or 7,000, or 7 million, or 70 million, or 75 million, on one level, it doesn't really matter all that much, at least not to the degree of smacking each other around the head with it. I'm not saying it's unimportant, actually. These things all have a certain importance. But they're secondary to profession of the faith. I have known people on all 25 sides of the debate who could recite the 4 creeds without blinking. And I have known people on all 74 sides of the debate who could not recite the 4 creeds without blinking. That's what's important to me. Myself, I find Darwinian evolution very hard to believe, but that's because of what I know about DNA. And for that matter, bees. What does that have to do with it, you wonder? Long story. Suffice to say, I have a problem with Darwinian evolution as it's proposed. I have...
What? I'm remembering an old talk you did on evolution, Bill and Charles, on our channel. You said evolution is the straitjacket that science is bound by now.
Well, it is. It can't see beyond it, and you're a heretic. I mean, a good example was this archaeologist lady, paleontologist, I should say, Mary, what's her name, who found a Tyrannosaurus in Montana or somewhere, and it was completely inaccessible. So she had to take the thing out by helicopter. Well, did something because they had this huge thigh bone. It was just too big for the helicopter. So they did something they'd never done before. They cracked it in half and found organic goo in the center. Now this is a big problem, actually, for the standard view of these things. Why? Because fossilization is supposed to be a even process. It doesn't go from the outside in, number one. Number two, organic matter is only supposed to last, depending on who you talk to, 100,000 to X number of million years. Not that long.
Yeah.
Now, what this means, and then of course she went to work and looked at all sorts of other bones. Apparently, a lot of them have this organic stuff in them.
Okay.
Nobody ever bothered testing them for it before because we all knew how fossilization occurred.
Oh, okay.
That's that straitjacket I referred to.
Yeah.
It doesn't allow you to think other than in certain patterns. Well, what does this mean? Does it discount evolution? Does it discount? No, not necessarily. But what it does tell us is that we don't know what we think we know about fossilization. And that this entire structure of belief that we've built up about prehistory, which is so heavily based upon fossilization, has to be questioned.
Wow.
It's a big thing, it's revolutionary. But nobody is willing to look at it because our science has become our dogma. And it's something we can't look at openly. And again, the people who most point attention to it are the creationists and so on, but for good reason. Because obviously, anything that dispels the commonly received wisdom in this area helps their case. But it would help their opponent's case a lot more if instead of just saying no, 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 and you're all a bunch of ignorant morons, if they took the lead and examined it themselves.
Yeah, that's true.
See, and then maybe the standard view of fossilization generally is right. Maybe, but you don't know until you look.
Okay.
And science is supposed to be about looking for facts on their own terms. But we have, as I say, erected a body of dogma. And God help the infidel in the temple.
Yeah.
Our friends do not want to be infidels, and I, for one, do not blame them.